Alright, has he? Nope, nope, he's still clean. Okay, let's go. Hi guys, Triple Rousey here, and welcome to UFC 232, The Aftermath. Quick note, apologies I don't have any UFC footage, like gameplay footage. I've had to delete it. I've only got a 500 gigabyte PlayStation, and Black Ops basically swallows everything I've noticed, so yeah, and let's get to it. So in a pay-per-view that has been surrounded in controversy from obviously the picogram controversy with Jones, to Nevada refusing to have Jones fight there, to California agreeing to have Jones fight there, but then as a result all the fighters are getting a higher tax on their purse. We finally had it, and overall it was a good card. I mean, it was a very eye-opening card to see what's going to happen in 2019, what really should happen in 2019, and we're going to have a look and have a rundown of some key points in the entire card as well. So let's do this. Alright, so I'm going to start this off with a bit of a downer, and this regards two fighters, Carlos Condit and BJ Penn, who both lost respectively. Now, I would like to point out that Carlos Condit put a few good holds on Chiesa yesterday. I mean, they didn't lock in, and obviously Michael was able to get out, but you know, I kind of knew how this was going to begin at the beginning of the fight when I heard the fight, given Condit's kind of record at the moment. But as for BJ Penn, like, even now it makes me sad. It does. You're in the prelims, you're the first fight in the prelims, and there was arguments for BJ to be the greatest of all time, and he hasn't won in since 2010 now. We're approaching more or less 2019, and you know, the reason why I put these two in the same bracket is because I think it's time to hang up the gloves. It sounds really horrible. I mean, one, obviously BJ Penn is a must, but Condit, I can't see Condit lasting. You know, I mean, the likelihood is it'll end up in Bellator maybe, you know, which is I guess for him fine, you know, if he's still got something left to prove. But yeah, I think it serves as a cautionary tale, and there's going to be a lot of cautionary tales in this video, that if Condit doesn't know when to stop, and this is going to sound very bad, he's going to end up like BJ Penn, who is 40 and he can't. It's just difficult to watch. Anyway, so BJ Penn was fighting Ryan Hall. It was the first round, and Ryan Hall got him in a leg lock, a very good leg lock. The transition was amazing, and yeah, BJ Penn just tapped immediately. There was worries he may have ripped something, but it was just a brilliant leg lock. But yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Ryan Hall, you know, there's people that's gonna find that are struggling to, or just don't want to fight him, and you know, I can't see Ryan Hall being a main contender anytime soon. You know, we've not seen any of his stand up. His jiu-jitsu is absolutely incredible, but you know, he's untested, and yep, he's beating BJ Penn, and that should be a notch on your belt. And I think that makes it even the more sad that it doesn't really mean a lot these days, even if you are the first person to submit in. But I, for BJ Penn's sake, hope that Ryan Hall is the only man to submit him, and maybe it is time to hang up the gloves and to know when at 4 years of age. But we'll see. Don't be surprised if you see him fight again. Also, Michael Chiesa, just because I've mentioned Ryan Hall and I've mentioned obviously their opponents, he looks comfortable in welterweight, doesn't he? I know there's been problems with weight cutting in his previous weight class, but yeah, he seems alright. He seems alright at welterweight, and I think he's going to stay there. It'll be interesting to see where he fits in. Obviously, he's not going to be straight away for the title shot, but you know, when you think about who the welterweight division has now, essentially has obviously the champ Woodley, Darren Till, Robbie Lawler, Ben Askren, Kobe Colfington, and now Michael Chiesa, who looks like a natural welterweight. So yeah, I think it's going to be very, very interesting to see, you know, how he does. But yeah, we'll see when he fights again. But yeah, good stuff, man, good stuff. As you can imagine, or probably tell, there's no particular order. But let's talk about Volkovsky and Chad Mendes. I've got a stinking cold. So Chad versus Alexander, and this was an entertaining fight. This ended in Mendes being stopped, but you know, a lot of things were sort out today. And I remember when I said earlier in the video about an idea of 2019, and wow, you know, we've gone from obviously, you know, Hall and Carlos, Chiesa, should I say, getting the win over essentially guys, if you saw a few years ago, would have meant something to it, meaning really nothing, to now someone actually getting a win over someone and it meaning something. So well, they were throwing bombs, and Volkovsky, if I'm pronouncing it right, nullified Mendes' wrestling, which is in a feat on its own. And you know, I think Mendes basically gassed out. And yeah, you know, people are going to say, probably criticize Mendes, but remember that Mendes gave a good account of himself. Remember, he dropped Volkovsky as well, and I don't think it's down to Mendes is just not got it anymore, like what we spoke about just now, but more along the lines of Volkovsky could be a mainstayer in his division, in the featherweight division, and it's nice to see it get more populated, especially when we talked about Max Holloway and the lack of contenders he will have if he chooses to stay in the featherweight division. And I think it's difficult to say that Volkovsky is in line for a title shot. I think if Chad Mendes won, I think he'd have a title shot, but he didn't. So that could further mess up, obviously, what's next for Max Holloway. But yeah, good fight overall, action packed, and you know, it was good. It's good to see someone new get the big win, and yeah, let's see how Chad Mendes moves on from this. So Kat Zingano against Megan Anderson was that was strange, wasn't it? I mean, so just to give you guys a lowdown, Megan Anderson went for a leg kick. I thought when I watched it that Zingano got away, but then all of a sudden something stopped, and Kat just stopped. The referee saw, and apparently it was a toenail in the eye. Man, ouch. There was worries over obviously something being ruptured, and yeah, really disappointing, but I hope Kat's okay. I've checked this morning, apparently there's nothing bad. It's a eyelid laceration, which must fucking hurt, but yeah, it does look sore from her Twitter feed. She shows some pictures. Yeah, very weird, very disappointing. I mean, Megan Anderson is a prospect. She's in the same situation as everybody in the featherweight division, that there's really nobody for her to fight. I think what would be a good idea would be to see what's going to be the situation with Zingano and her injuries, and I think it's let them have a rematch. And I guess Megan cut your toenails. But yeah, it was very strange, interesting. Big John McCarthy, who in his own rights has had a few dodgy calls. He's a commentator at Bellator, if I'm not mistaken. He's mentioned that the toenails are legal because it's not like clenching your fist and deliberately eye poking, which I sort of get, but there must be some sort of rule against keeping your nails short. I mean, I've done judo and you need to keep your nails short, like both as well. Like, you know, that just doesn't happen unless she did, and she was incredibly unlucky. But yeah, just weird. Anderson versus Latifi, right? A lot of people were impressed with Anderson, and no, it wasn't. You know, you've got to think, like, a few years ago he was considered to be one of the best light heavyweights on the planet, and now there were questions over his chin, and then his cardio's got better. There's no doubt about that. But it just wasn't a fun fight. I mean, Latifi gassed out quick, and it was quick to see who the fitter fighter was, and there was just a lot of, like, me personally watching this, I was like, you could finish him in the second. Like, yeah, he'll lash out and stuff, but he is knackered. And I would have gone for the finish, but there's not a lot really to talk about. Like, it was just kind of blur. But anyway, Corey got the win, unanimous decision. He goes up in the rankings, which is nice. Latifi, I don't want to be too hard on him. I think he's got a lot to learn. He definitely has some power behind him. If he can get that cardio sorted, I think we've got ourselves something there. But you know, yeah, it's a win for Corey, and Corey's up in the rankings. But yeah, more disappointing from a fan base point. And now we're going to go to the first of our co-main events, and oh my lord, I had an idea this was going to happen. I just didn't realise the dramatic fashion that it was going to happen in. So, Amanda Nunes is the first woman in UFC to be a double champ. She's only the third woman to be a double champ, and she did this in less than a minute, basically knocking Chris Cyborg out. I mean, this is amazing. I mean, if you haven't watched it, it has to be on YouTube somewhere. Just watch how it was just amazing. And I was saying to my friends who came over and watched it, I said to a friend of mine on WhatsApp, I said, if Nunes can start tagging her, and I've always stood by this, if Nunes can hurt Cyborg, we've got ourselves a different fight. Cyborg was used to be the aggressor, she's used to applying the constant, but what would happen if you had someone who would stand toe to toe with her and basically give her a go? And all the signs were there, and it was the weirdest thing. I saw the walkout, and then I saw obviously the stats, and Nunes came in heavier than Cyborg. She's the same height as Cyborg, she has the longer reach than Cyborg. More importantly, she looked healthier than Cyborg. And it was her just them walking out and just basically getting checked over. I was like, something is afoot here. And, you know, well, Nunes did it, didn't she? She absolutely just outstruck Chris, and it was crazy. Like, wow, no one. There's been a lot of arguments about who is the greatest of all time and who is the greatest of all time in their division. We can safely say, without a shadow of the doubt, that Amanda Nunes is the baddest woman on the planet and is the greatest woman of all time. There's no doubt about it. You've just got to look at who she's fought. I mean, I'm on my phone now, just to put this in perspective. If you bear with me a second, let's have a look who she's taken out. So we have Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate, Valentina Shevchenko twice, who is obviously the flyweight champion, Raquel Pennington, Dee Ramonde, and Sarah McMahon, and now Chris Cyborg. I mean, that is pretty crazy. So who next? Who next? Well, the featherweight division, that's a conversation which I'll have in a minute, but we are looking at probably back to bantamweight. She says there's no real challenges. I'm more inclined to say Holly Holmes. Holly Holmes, I think we've got ourselves a fight there. You know, I think it's a good matchup. I think Holly Holmes, you know, gave a good account of herself against Cyborg. I think I'll be interested to see two boxers go at it. There is also Shevchenko. She's much better than she is now, than she was back then. She arguably won the fight. Yeah, I'd say those two. I think those two are probably the best picks at the moment. As for the featherweight division, I think you've got yourselves a bit of a problem there, UFC. So you need to hire some women for the featherweight division, and this has been said so many times when Cyborg was champion. Literally the only person I could think of is to challenge for the featherweight title is a rematch with Chris Cyborg or Megan Anderson, and it is highly unfair to give Megan Anderson a title shot this close to her career. I mean, this early in her career, and you know, she's untested. Tonight, well, was supposed to give us an idea of what Megan Anderson's like. You know, Zingano's supposed to push her in deep waters, and that obviously didn't happen. So, you know, it's down to getting people to compete in that featherweight division and working from there. You know, otherwise just shut it down. It's going to sound incredibly harsh, but a lot of people, and I'm in the same position, think that the featherweight division was built for Cyborg, and now Cyborg is not the champion. So, you know, let's see what happens. But yeah, Jesus Christ, good showing. Wow, amazing. And another thing, Chris Cyborg gained my respect. Yeah, she could have dealt with her loss really badly, and she didn't. She was gracious in defeat, and you know, even now she's humble. I saw her Twitter, and she'll go down as one of the greats regardless of what happens after this. But yeah, good job, man, good job. And finally we get to the last fight of the evening, Jones versus Gustafsson 2. And again, this was controversial, given what we spoke about before, the move, the abnormal test result, and yeah, John Jones did it again. Third round stoppage, and this was a lot different and a lot more straightforward than the last fight. Yeah, you know, we talked about you know, Jones saying that he was a bit of a party animal. He seemed a lot more focused. He was very, very clever about how he fought this fight. He more or less nullified Gustafsson's attacks, and I think what it showed was Gustafsson hasn't fought in a long time as well. I think longer than Jones, funny enough, which says a lot. But you could see, I think it was a meeting of the minds, which was quite interesting. And I just think Jones was smarter. I think he knew as long as he got that takedown, it would be over. So whether you like it or not, Jones is the heavyweight champion. As time of this recording, he has not had any test results saying that he's cheated, and we need to give him the benefit of the doubt there. But it's a very, very important time for Jones now, because Jones cannot mess up. Jones is 31, and he spent the majority of, I'd say, 4 years wasted his career. I think that's a fair assumption to make. So now we look at the prospect of, well, what if
Jones wants to fight Cormier again. Now this is very, very interesting. So the commentator team talked about how they wanted Jones DC 3 at heavyweight. When Jones was doing his post-fight interview, he said, if you want your title, come get it. So he was talking about the light heavyweight title. So you could leave that up to interpretation. Does Jones not want to fight at heavyweight? Does Jones want to take him on at light heavyweight because he feels more confident he will? DC is arguably a lot more comfortable at heavyweight. You have to understand that he was naturally a heavyweight at Strikeforce. And I think if Jones wants to fight Cormier, it'll be Cormier's last fight. And I think being such a great ambassador to the sport, DC is like the polar opposite of Jones. I think the ball's in his court. I wouldn't mind to see the trilogy end at heavyweight. I think that's what I'm coming across as. Yeah, I think that wouldn't be a problem. I think the prospect of what not a lot of people talk about is if Jones beats Cormier at heavyweight, then you've got Jones Velasquez at heavyweight. If Velasquez can stay well, and that would be interesting. Sort of a vengeance type of thing. Seeing as 2018, we've seen the storylines that border on WWE, like vengeance for Khabib and all that lot, with the Dolly situation and McGregor. But I think overall, we need to just trust John not to make the mistakes that he's made, and he seems to have the right people with him, and yeah. So, well done, John. Well done. Right, so that is the last aftermath of 2018, and you could say they've left the best till last, and I think they did. I think the MVP of that evening was definitely Amanda Nunes, and it's going to be so interesting how 2019 is going to be with MMA. Ben Askren now finally in the UFC, Jones back in the UFC, Anderson Silva wanting Conor McGregor. Where does Cyborg go next? How does she recover? It's going to be a great time, and I'd just like to say thank you for joining me on this new series. I hope this gets a lot more traction in 2019, and I look forward to seeing you guys soon. Alright guys, if I don't hear from you, have a happy new year, and I'll see you guys soon. Alright, take care, bye bye.